Tim, I think it's my
It's on your
side.
side. This plus button, Loretta? That's enough?
A little bit more.
Okay. Is that okay now?
Should be everyone's.
Like, the car at the center of this.
Just remind everyone to mute.
Oh, Loretta.
Oh, you've muted them. Yeah.
I just want to make sure that.
Is it this one? The one that? Red, you just unhook that.
Right again. More speakers change.
Yes, great, that'd be good.
Says your default speaker has changed.
I'm gonna mute myself, see if we can, if it's coming through.
Just let me know if you need to press it again.
Testing.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Thank you all for your patience.
So we've done the
Recording has
Okay.
started.
I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Flint Public Library Trustees. At this time, I apologize to everyone, but we do need to go into executive session. Again, we're going to be reviewing our open meeting law complaint filed by Allison on March 27th against the public body in executive session pursuant to GLC 30A, section 21A1, and then we'll return to open session. So everybody can please leave that shouldn't be here.
Me.
When is that door closed?
Everything's closed.
Oh, okay, just checking.
It does close easily.
I did that once by mistake when I went to close it when it was warm in here.
Okay, so.
You're live, so you won't be
One more thing.
clicking out on us.
I just, before you start, I have to just pick everyone into a waiting room.
I don't know where we start. I've got so many pieces of paper here. I'm
I know, I
having a
tried
hard time
I tried to
figuring it out
paperclip each
myself.
one. I like clipped each one of whatever it was. But maybe unless Liz wants to tell us where she wants to start. But we have to first. Did you tell us, Liz? where to
I'm
start?
just waiting for her.
Yes, you're
All right,
correct.
everyone's in a waiting room. The only ones in there are this computer here and mine.
Okay, so I guess this is for the March 27th complaint that we're going over, is that correct?
Yes.
And everybody's gotten a copy of Liz's response.
Can I just ask a question again?
Nope, we'll fire away.
Do we do the executive minutes of March 13th? Do we do that in executive session? Do we do that in the regular
You
meeting?
can do it in executive or you can do it in a regular meeting, it doesn't
The
matter.
one for March
But
13th?
how is it posted on the agenda?
Open. meeting.
So open.
Open.
So we'll do that
Oh,
in
it is on the
open
open? I'm sorry.
It's posted as the open, right?
Yes.
On the agenda.
It says approve the minutes of the trustees, so then it doesn't say for the executive session. That's why I wasn't sure of that.
Trustees meetings, plural.
Okay, but I thought you defined, I just wanted to make sure, just so I put it in the right file of where we're gonna be looking at things. Thank you.
Since it was already, since the response was already released, it doesn't need to be an executive session because the reason for having it is no longer necessary.
Even if there hasn't been a response back from the AG, you released the, I'm trying to remember, you released those
Because the
minutes,
response went out, it was just about the response itself.
not about what the AG comes back with. You don't wait.
You don't need to.
You don't need to, okay, gotcha, thank you.
So this is about the March 27th, stating that the prior complaint was not distributed to the entire board prior to the meeting. And so the open meeting law requires that when a complaint is received, the chair has to disseminate it to the board. And the understanding is that typically it's not distributed, I mean, materials are not distributed by the chair. And so there's misunderstanding about the responsibility there. And so the board did violate the open meeting law by doing that, but the determination that was released, which says this letter would constitute evidence of intentional violation, that was given to the board after the subsequent complaint was filed, or no, the meeting was held. And so the timing of the determination and the meeting they missed each other. And so basically if she had already received the determination before the complaint where she distributed the materials or didn't distribute the
You
materials.
mean
then it-
Donna, when you say she?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just trying to.
Then it, I'm sorry,
No,
yes.
that's okay, I just want to.
Then it would be considered intentional because of the letters. So now it's notice that the chair, when the chair receives a complaint, has to disseminate it to the entire board. So we responded in that regard, and for this meeting, we distributed materials and the current complaint, it's very confusing. The determination was on, they're all from the same person, and so it can be a little confusing. So if anyone has questions, feel free to ask, but basically we're saying, yes, this occurred, but it was not intentional. And to rectify that issue, everything has been distributed to the board and the current complaint has been disseminated to the board, and we will address this going forward. We're also holding a training for the board in June. And so we'll discuss that in the open meeting as well to address the issue. So, and that's what my letter says. There's a little more eloquently.
Response.
Yes.
Oh, technically, would we even disseminate that? Since she's the
Not to
complainant.
the entire board. I mean, yes, you would, but
But so
she already
she
has
made,
it.
she made the complaint. Why would she need to receive it?
Right,
She knows what the complaint says because she formulated it.
right.
The problem was that
I
the
didn't.
Maria was.
No, I'm just saying, she made the complaint, Maria didn't make the complaint.
No, but
Right, but
Dawn is saying that it was because I was the only board member that didn't get the complaint, but you, Aaron, and Donna got the complaint from,
No, well, you got the complaint, but you didn't get the response from.
no, I didn't get the
Right.
complaint either.
Oh,
Remember,
you
remember
didn't?
the last meeting when you said to me,
Right.
and Tim went out and made a copy for me because I didn't get it, and Tim said, you could have gone to the town hall. I said, no, I should have got it disseminated from the chair, but
Okay.
you said to me, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that. Like,
I
what,
thought it was just a response that. we were
no, the
looking at.
complaint, because even in the minutes that we're gonna go over in open meeting that Liz is saying, says it in the minutes, that I did not receive the complaint, only the three of you received the complaint. Obviously, Allison is one who filed it, she had it. I was the only trustee that was excluded from receiving the complaint.
And I have a question. Is this something that's usually, could that just be a conversation? Is that usually just like, if it's a mistake, would you just like, would it be appropriate to just say to Donna?
Yes,
So just say like, you know what, next time or moving forward, it doesn't have to be a formal complaint.
right. So typically, if it's your own board, you don't want your own board to be in violation of the open meeting law, so you would just address it
Some-
in the meeting. And that would address the complaint as well, because
Okay.
then you don't have to go through the process.
And
Because then you're just saying,
everyone's time.
hey, this was not done properly, so the open meeting law, now you're on notice, please going forward, anytime you receive a complaint, distribute it to the entire board so that we all have it. And that's the chair's role typically, you know.
Plus Donna, when I said it to Donna during the executive session, she said, I'm sorry, she said, I thought that you got it.
I want to add that actually, but I wasn't, so that's when everything.
Because you couldn't
froze.
hear it, yeah, you kept freezing.
And so I thought that occurred, but I wanted to confirm here because, the purpose of me attending is to gather all the facts
Mhm.
and make sure that everyone is aware of what went wrong and how we can fix it going forward and how we respond to these kind of complaints.
Well, so then may I say that, because it was me, unless you had something else.
I
to
was gonna
say,
say,
go ahead.
so like you said, going forward, if this happens again, is it appropriate to judge, or some other mistakes, like, is anyone,
You do not have to file a complaint.
so can anyone speak to Allison about that?
Yeah,
It's
Because,
procedural, it's not like you're not serial deliberating on procedures. If you say, did you get that document, or did you,
right, but I
it's
mean,
not-
is there someone like yourself or someone that can talk to Allison about next time, instead of making an open meeting to a complaint that takes up
Well, you can't
time in your time?
so
As a board member, can I suggest that?
I planned to, so it's either gonna be Jay or myself during the training. So I plan to, in the training,
So
let everyone
add that
know.
as
is everyone required to come? What
Yeah,
happens if people choose not to come?
Well, I think the Attorney General will say that you're required to attend, so,
Okay,
that the board is required to attend.
and doesn't it make a difference, the more complaints you have, when it comes to what it costs us and things against us?
Yes.
So
Doesn't
town
it?
is fine.
And so if an intentional violation is found, and that's why I'm making a distinction here, then the town can be fined for
Mhm.
that.
Okay.
And is Allison aware of that?
Of course.
She will be after the training.
No, she's aware of it, I'm sure. It's part of, did the open meeting law March 31st of
So,
last year.
I mean, and the other thing is, if one person files subsequent complaints in a certain period of time, the board can request mediation with that person when it's, I don't know how that works if it's your own board.
Well, the AG suggests that right in their
Right.
response, it suggested that in the response.
Right, so if there's another complaint filed, that would be my recommendation, is to undergo the mediation process that's laid out in open meeting law to reach some kind of agreement that this kind of thing will be worked out and done through this process.
Right, this is a lot,
It's
this
a
is a
lot.
lot of time, it's a lot of, like, your time, our time, it's just unnecessary.
So in order to not single her out, although, I mean, she's gonna know, my recommendation would be in the training to suggest just that. If you feel that someone on your own board is in violation of open meeting law, address it in that meeting, rectify it in that meeting, and then,
Well, you're not
going forward.
calling someone out because you're just saying that's a part of your
Right,
open meeting law training. So it's like, here's an example and things. So,
right. I just mean to.
Yeah, but it could be interpreted because there's only one person who's been filing the complaints.
But it's,
So it would be direct, it doesn't take one-on-one to
No, I know what you're
you would say, oh,
But that
who
could be
who are you
harder.
talking
I could
about?
do that, but if I
that could
went.
happen across the state,
No,
but
no.
they picked that up along the way.
But if we did that in open session and I said, because that's what I would do then, I couldn't do it here because she's not here because she complained, so
Right.
to avoid the awkwardness of in open session kind of,
Sure.
because then it would be considered retaliatory too, so.
Right.
So
We
it's a
don't want
fine
that
line,
either.
yeah, so when you
Exactly.
say for her to talk to, I don't think she
Well, that's why I'm
can.
just asking, like,
I don't think that's.
Right.
next time,
allowed.
like, even if I could say, like, just next time, like, can we have a
You could
conversation
certainly
about
like outside of,
We can always
Outside of
say
the
anything
meeting.
to, you know what I mean, you can speak to anybody.
Well, I don't
But-
feel that way.
But the problem,
What do you mean?
the
You could- If you
problem-
have something to say,
problem is you don't know that that's what she thinks until
Right.
after she files the
Good
complaint.
point. That's the
She did
problem.
she did not address the issue by talking to the board and go, hey, guys, I think there was a problem here.
from last meeting to this.
From any
Well,
meeting,
we're talking about the last one.
from the last one.
specifically.
What she does is she then goes back to her house and files the complaint. She doesn't bother to talk to the board.
well, I would recommend letting myself or Jay address it.
Yeah.
In the
no,
training, because now we've discussed it and I don't want there to be another
I just
complaint
know
that
I
we all
won't be there for
discussed
that,
it.
yeah.
and-
Yeah, no,
it's not a
open meeting is
discussion.
fine. I
It's
like
not
the
a
training.
fine,
Yeah,
somebody-
No, I was just, I'm just
Totally.
trying to
But
avoid it.
Next time, I mean, Well, you won't know.
She won't tell us. No, I mean, that's my only point is.
But I'm trying to, how do we address it? So I think in open session, I would just say, perhaps, I don't know, maybe I could say when we go back into open session.
But don't you have to be
I
careful
want to be
about if it's
careful
on the
about it.
agenda too, because you can't
Yes,
talk about things.
but we
that
are
aren't-
gonna talk about the training,
Oh, there you go.
so maybe, I
Well,
don't know.
you could select however you feel.
Yeah, don't, I'll let you take it. I was trying to avoid.
Don't
it.
go
No,
to
I-
Aaron and say,
yeah,
"Aaron, you told me."
I'll see how the discussion goes. If there's a proper time to address it, maybe I'll just remind the board that if they have any complaints going forward, perhaps we all discuss it at the time so that we can avoid having a filing. And if anyone thinks that another board member is in violation, then we try to nip it in the bud and point it out in the meeting so that we avoid future.
But that's a
violations.
practical thing to say.
Yeah, I think that's the way I would
I
address
think
it.
it's practical to say that in the open session.
So,
Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
So, just to be understanding, you wrote a response up, when you say, Donna assures me, I mean, you didn't speak to Donna, so how do you?
I spoke to Donna on a phone conversation.
Oh, I thought it could only be done.
So attorney-client privilege, I'm able
Oh,
to
I was
speak.
confused. Oh,
to
okay,
an
I thought you just did a
individual-
boilerplate thing.
No, I can speak to an individual board member to gather information
Okay,
in order to prepare a response. And because I'm not a board member, that doesn't violate anything.
I see. I thought it was just something that you had like
Oh,
from
no.
previous experience. It said, okay.
I have to look at all the facts, and so I want to get everyone's perspective on that. And if she's the one being complained about, then it'd be attorney-client privilege because I'm responding to the complaint that was filed directly against.
Gotcha. I thought it had to be with all of us present. I didn't know you could go individually like that. I see. Okay. And then I think the date,
I added the dates to
because
the
it's not April's date. Okay.
So I put April 10th for the date of the meeting, anywhere where it's XX, and then when I send the complaint, I always have it, I like to have it up during the meeting, so that if there's any changes, I can just make it in the document, so we can approve it that way.
Great. That wasn't April. Wasn't it the February? It was the,
Which one?
wasn't on that second paragraph where it says April XX. Aren't you referring to last month's meeting?
No,
What are you
because
referring to on that?
This meeting right now,
this meeting, so presumably she had a copy of the complaint that she filed.
April 10th is today.
Oh, I know that.
No, but I'm saying that's, we're
So
gonna
is it
say
the
that this is the
packet
meeting authorizing her.
Oh, in this meeting, okay, I was confused.
Right now,
by
we're
that.
gonna
Okay,
authorize.
gotcha.
So it was in the packet that everyone received for today.
For today, I got it, okay, thought it was referring to, that's why I didn't understand, okay, just, and then the complaint date was the 27th, right, not the 22nd? Because there's a 27th up top on the third paragraph,
It was
wasn't it?
received on the 27th. Is it dated the 22nd?
On the third paragraph there, about, see, it's on the end. Date wise, it's supposed to be the 27th,
Uh, 5 lines from the bottom, like,
yeah.
No, we received the determination on March 22nd. That's, that date refers to the Attorney General's
From the last
determination.
year, okay. Just trying to keep in line.
That's okay.
But was there something else that you said you wanted me to add what I said about
No, I was
Donna
gonna
saying that she thought it was distributed, but you said that in that paragraph.
Did
Okay.
I? So I was going to add here, in the third paragraph, wait, was it before that? It was handed to her. I did put that, yes, okay. The copy of the complaint was handed to you.
Not in this one we got though, you added it, so.
No, it is. It's in the second paragraph. I was present during the executive session. We did review the merits of the complaint during the executive session. A copy of the complaint was handed to trustee Maria. I don't know how to say your last name.
Pecos Sanchez, that's
And I
okay.
read the allegations and the response into the record.
Okay,
Although you were not present at the executive session as the complainant, presumably you had a copy as well, but the complaint was also included in the packet for the April 10th, 2023 meeting to ensure the same.
thank you.
So I guess we need to make a motion to have this approved so that.
To
the
approve and
response-
delegate the response.
So moved.
You gotta
We did
have
make a
it,
motion.
you have to make a motion.
I'm just doing a motion. You just stated the motion. I
Okay.
moved it. I move that we authorize the attorney to file the response and response dated April 10th, a copy of which is in front of us as amended.
I second that.
Okay.
Did you want?
No, not
I
me.
second, no, I thought you were going to, I didn't want to cut you off. I second that motion.
And then we have to have a verbal response. In other words, you have to say your name and yes or no.
I, Maria Pecos Hansis, say yes.
Donna Bainbridge, yes.
Erin Bennett, yes.
Tim Hooton, yes.
Thank you for
That
explaining
should
it. Oh,
end
I just
our-
wanted, I was confused, I just wanted to, sorry if I took up the time, I just wanted to be clear on it.
That should end our executive
So
session,
then you make
correct?
a motion to.
Make a motion to close the meeting, executive
Executive
session.
session.
Can you make that motion?
I make that motion to close the executive session and return to open
Meeting.
meeting.
I second.
And we have to vote again.
Maria Pecos Hansis, yes.
Donna Bainbridge, yes.
Erin Bennett, yes.
Tim Hooton, yes.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
I'm gonna let everyone in again.
That's fine. I'm gonna let everybody else in, see if I can keep this locking the door.
I did it the time before, it's very, you think it's a heavy door and it's not.
Yeah.
So-
And I got it.
And I'd like the copy too. I won't say anything about it, but I'd like it.
All right, so we're gonna start with the executive session meeting notes. Does anybody have anything?
Okay.
Make a motion to approve as written.
I.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Not just for clarity, when it says here, the Board of Trustees present, Allison was present there. And then when we went into executive session, she was asked to leave. So it's only a matter of that we were all present for that in the beginning there.
But this is only the executive session meeting notes.
But it's
so
not,
she
if it's
wouldn't be
called to
here.
order, then the motion to go into executive session, we're here, Donna. So just the order of things. Well, Allison was present here. And then,
Okay,
do you know?
I
right?
know,
Am
I
I
know,
correct?
yeah, I know what you're saying. Sure. That's fine. You want to add Allison's name to that Board of Trustees present. Anything else?
Then I move to accept the minutes.
I
Anyone a
second that.
second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
thank you.
I take another vote to release the minutes.
Somebody make a motion to release the executive session minutes?
I make a motion to release the executive session minutes of March 13th, 2023.
Second.
Do we have to do individual votes?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so
May I
now,
now request a copy when you get a chance, Loretta?
did you give me yours?
That was Tim's.
I'll give you that back. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Oh, it's Stephanie's, that's right. Thank
That's
you.
okay.
Thank you,
Sorry,
Stephanie.
I said it was Tim's.
I don't know what's going on. All right, let's do the regular minutes of the open session. Anybody have any?
No one else does, I do.
I don't-
No, Erin, anything?
Nope.
Tim?
I don't know.
Under D, approval of minutes, Stephanie? That first phrase is really, with slight modifications needed to the minutes. That sentence can just start, Mr. Hooton, motion to accept the minutes. And then on, I guess it's the third page. Oh, okay. No, you know what? Those are just personal notes. That was my only edit.
Make a motion to accept the minutes as written. with the change.
Yeah.
Just do the technical.
I'll second that motion to accept the minutes of the open meeting on March 13th, 2023.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That was unanimous, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right, moving
Madam
on.
Chair, before we move on, can I just make a clarification.
Yes,
So if you are a board member and you were not part of the executive session, that's why you didn't receive the minutes. I just want to clarify that. So under the open meeting law, they haven't been released yet, and you were the complainant, then you would not be involved in the approval of those minutes. And so
I
that's why-
understood that, but I understood from what I read on the open meeting law that they get released when they're in draft form, if someone requests them.
redacted, but you were the complainant, so they
It
would,
didn't say redacted in the open meeting law.
it does actually. If you,
Okay.
if you'd like to, tell me which part of the open meeting law you're referring to.
I can't wait in this meeting right now. I don't want to get into that, but sure, I'd love to have that conversation and have you show that to me.
We can have a separate conversation.
Sure, that'd be great. Thank you.
thank you, Liz. Annie Wilson, you're up.
Thank you, Donna.
Oh, hi. I thought I saw you sneak in, but I wasn't
I
sure.
was looking on the screen.
So I just have a few brief things to talk about. We haven't met. I'm Mary Wilson, president of the Friends of the Point you raised. So I'm very happy to report that in March, our annual campaign brought in $1,900, which is actually substantially more than we usually do in March. And it was primarily because of the one new donor who gave $1,000,
Wow.
which was awesome. And on top of that great news, his company matches.
Wow,
So hopefully we'll get that this month.
that's great.
So it was really awesome. We also, and I'll pass this around if people want to see. We had a patron, unfortunately passed away, and her son put the Friends of the Flint as the, in an obituary in lieu of flowers, please give money.
Oh, how very thoughtful.
So I received funds and actually just picked up another one in my mailbox. So these are memorial funds, so they can be used for anything. So that gives us freedom, which is, I mean, it's obviously very sad. She lived a very long life. And she was a wonderful patron, as was her husband. So it was a very thoughtful.
Whatever, I just thought I'd be kind for you guys, I guess that's not.
You,
And currently, our FY '23 annual campaign, so that's July 22 through March of 2023, has raised $19,258.77.
that's
And,
amazing.
yeah.
That's
just
amazing. It is amazing. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
And one of the other things that we've talked about is raising more money and fundraising, and that's been a discussion that we've been having for the last couple of months. And right now, the Friends have approved a restaurant program. Is that what you say? Yeah, a fundraiser. So Jackie's working on that. And we also are going to be selling buttons that have logos. The Friends pick the ones that they liked. And that's all I have. We're doing really well, and I'm feeling very, very good.
It's incredible. It
Yeah.
really is. Congratulations. Andy,
Well
you
done,
and
Andy.
all
Thank you,
your
thank
group.
you, Annie.
Yeah,
Well,
really.
well done.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to the trustees report. Okay, the attorney general's determination. Based on this determination, 2 emails dated April 10th and 11th were found to be within the scope of open meeting law and will be posted on the town's website and be publicly available. Copies will be kept with the meeting minutes. Onward,
I have
Go
a
ahead.
question about that.
sure.
I believe they were to be read into the minutes.
I don't think they need to be read in.
Um,
Will be posted with them.
All right, we know that the notice posted for the, oh, I'm sorry, that was something else. In conclusion. The board may publicly release the emails by reading their content during a meeting,
They may,
right?
and I choose not.
And listing the emails in, or by referencing the emails during a meeting and posting the emails along with the minutes on the municipal website. Is
Yeah.
that the choice you're making?
Yes,
Is-
choice I'm making is I'm gonna post it.
To reference the emails during the meeting, which you just did, thank
Yes,
you.
I did.
And the emails along with the minutes, and it will be put on the municipal website?
Yes,
Yes?
That's what she.
yes.
Yes, okay, I'm just confirming, Donna. If anyone else had a question, if not, I do have another question. What will be posted on the municipal website? Just this one that I submitted as evidence to the AG's office, the one from George? Because I was confused. I received an email from George coming in public records when I requested public information.
Didn't I send that to you?
You did not. It was not among your emails, which confused me. So, yeah. So I think not only this one should be posted, but I also think that,
There's a second one that's being posted
Oh,
also.
okay.
And I thought that I had sent them to everybody and I could have sworn you
Allison,
answered.
can you be specific about what email you're talking about?
yes, the one that she sent that was the evidence to the Attorney General's
The
office.
PDF.
The one that said I didn't really want to be chair, but the alternative.
Okay,
You can't read it out
you can
loud,
stop
thank you
reading.
very much.
Oh, I can't?
Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not know I couldn't. That, but that one,
I also sent.
April, dated April 11th.
I know I also sent it to you and you answered that these were the two. The other one was the initial one from April 10th, which was when I said Melissa Stankett's last meeting that we were gonna have a party and stuff. I'm not reading it.
No,
I'm
no,
trying to
no.
paraphrase
Yes,
it,
I
but
have.
I did send that to you.
I,
So you have both of them. Those are the two. And you
oh,
responded and said you received them.
yes, I did receive these. So this is one and
Yes, one's
So this
April
is-
10th, one's April 11th.
I don't have an April 10th. I only
That's
have,
the one you have your finger on.
it says April
It
11th.
says April 10th.
Okay. And here it says April 11th, and here it says April
So
11th.
it's a string of 3 emails.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome. Moving on. On June 6th, our wonderful attorney Liz is going to do an open meeting law training on June 6th. And in the evening, it is in the evening, right?
I believe it will be in the evening. It'll either be myself or Jay Tallerman.
And
What day of the
if
week is that?
the Tuesday, I believe, I think it is. I'm just wondering what will happen if somebody can't come, because I know that a couple people that probably can't come.
That's me.
I've already done the.
But
meeting one.
okay, the other question is that some of us may not be trustees at that point.
Okay,
So there's an election between now and then, so who?
I
are
think
they?
that's why we pushed it out, so that.
Okay,
I
but
think you
if
know
it's
that
June
you-
6th, I'll be in California, so I will.
Okay,
But can I take the training on my own?
we could try to do a Zoom, if that's possible, so that you could,
I think we're gonna record it actually on
Okay.
mobile access.
then we can record it and
That'd be
and
excellent.
disseminate it afterwards.
Okay,
And if you've already taken it through the town with Eileen.
I would recommend that all the board members take it. I suspect that after this third complaint, that they'll probably mandate it. So this will be in response to that proactively. And then going forward, I'd recommend if anyone has any complaints, that we address it to the whole board and try to address it on the floor so that this doesn't keep happening.
Okay, can it only be the board of trustees that attend?
May I ask for a point of information, Madam Chair?
Yes, please.
It's a townwide training, Annie, so anyone that's on an appointed or elected board or committee is going to be invited and incredibly welcome to come.
Encouraged.
All right. I'm sorry, can I ask Elizabeth Wyden a question? Okay, so can you repeat what you just said about you request that future complaints? Can you just repeat that? Because I'm trying to write it and I didn't get the end of the sentence.
I would just recommend that if after we receive the training and everyone is aware of what the open meeting law entails and they feel that any board members are in violation, that we should address that right away so that to prevent a future violation and try and rectify whatever the complaint is amongst yourselves in an open session so that it's all there for everyone. So we don't have to keep going through the process.
Do you realize, or am I correct on my understanding that from when a violation is recognized as a violation, that there is a 30-day window to issue a complaint through the Attorney General's office? So that if we did what you're suggesting, that the 30 days might expire. That happened to me last June, July, and August, where I was recommended to attempt to resolve it, and I did attempt to resolve it, and I believe, Jackie, you can verify that there was a townwide OM meeting training. And as a result of that, the violations were not corrected, and I couldn't go to the AG because 30 days had expired.
I'm confused about.
I'm just
We
saying,
had a, if I may, Madam Chair,
Yes, please.
if I may, we had a townwide training
training, because this is something that all boards and committees need to know. I don't remember if that was actually a requirement of any specific open meeting law complaint, or just something that we saw as a town-wide
Oh.
need for the training. I don't actually believe it was about a specific incident last year,
I
it was
had-
just a need for the training.
Oh, okay. When I had been in conversation with the town clerk, and in that conversation, I agreed to let the town try and resolve some of these issues, and one of the things that then happened, and I guess I assumed it was a direct correlation, perhaps it wasn't, that the OML training happened as a result. And as a result of my waiting to see if the training would resolve the issue, and I lost my 30-day window to submit a complaint to the AG, and then the situation wasn't resolved.
I think I'll say the training was townwide because all of our boards and committees do business using the open meeting law and working to be as successful practitioners of the open meeting law as possible. I'm assuming Attorney Leiden is probably alluding to trying to resolve these matters within an open session, because when you do file that complaint and it triggers that official process through the AG, it also triggers an executive session, so the complaint cannot be worked through with the complainant, an executive session takes place. I think she's just encouraging this body to include this as an open session item in future, so that as to avoid going through the formal complaint process, trying to mitigate complaints before they arise.
Is the executive session the only way that this board can have a conversation about an issue? Is the chair not able to come to me if I'm the complainant in that situation and say, can we talk about this?
So once you've made the complaint officially,
Uh-huh.
no, because then the chair would be in violation of the Attorney General's best practices for how you respond to a complaint. So once an official complaint is made, the official process is followed. This is for trying to mitigate that complaint being made before it's officially made. All of which to say is, I also give open meeting law trainings, and I'll repeat what I say at that training, is that we're all practitioners of open meeting law.
Mhm.
None of us are perfect at it. We're all trying to do our best all the
Mhm.
time. It's why they call it practicing the law, not perfecting it. And that's why we started offering these trainings annually. I strongly encourage and advise everyone that's on an appointed or elected board to go, because this law is constant and it changes all the time. So I just encourage everybody to go and to be mindful to not create an environment in which complaints can more easily occur.
If I may, an example, and I'm just gonna use it.
Sure.
If much the situation that happened, if Maria doesn't get a document that she feels it's entitled to, rather than running home and filing a complaint, she sits before the board and she says, as we're sitting there, I didn't get this document. I don't believe we can talk about this tonight. I don't want to have to file an open meeting law. Let's bring this up for next week, or let's correct it. As a board, we just discuss it and say, okay, let's do the right thing instead of waiting for someone to file a open meeting law.
But also, you mentioned a 30-day window. I mean, this is your board, so you don't have a 30-day window. You can always address it to the board. There's no expiration on that. And because if you file subsequent complaints, you're more at risk for getting fines issued to the town.
Mhm.
And that isn't necessarily, I don't think, what you want, is for the town to be fined if someone makes a mistake, which I do believe, each violation was not intentional. I think that the best way to resolve it amongst yourselves, because you're all on the same team here, is to address the board directly and say, look, you did this. I don't think that's in compliance with the law. We, as a board, need to address this and fix it going forward.
Mhm.
The other thing too, if I remember correctly, you can correct me, is when you when you tried to do that first complaint, you added things that were way, way back. to
I
it.
asked permission from the AG's office. I had private communications outside of this board with the AG's office and got permission to include the history that led up to it, because I felt that I had lost my 30-day window to bring those up in a complaint. So those were not things she addressed in her answer, as you can see. Well, she kind of did in one of them, in which the
Okay.
had not been addressed in the agenda, I mean, an item that not, but I asked permission to do that, and she
Okay,
was,
I didn't
and she
know that.
granted it to me,
So
yes.
that correspondence, because you were talking to the Attorney General's office, is
Mhm.
privileged unless you give permission to release it, just like the draft minutes, until
Mhm.
those are released by the board, that's privileged because it was between me and them, and so there's no way to redact an entire executive session in which I was advising the board.
Mhm,
And so, to your earlier point.
yeah,
That would have been covered by attorney-client privilege. There's no way to release it unless they waive that privilege, which they did.
okay, so my understanding from reading open meeting law is that whether it's open meeting minutes or executive, whatever kind of minutes it is, once it's in draft form, it can be requested.
Not if it's subject to an exemption, as attorney-client privilege is.
Okay, okay. I'll take your word for it. But I would like to have a private conversation so that you can show me where and explain it to me. I'd like to know that.
It's case law.
Okay, I'd appreciate it.
Okay.
And
And I can just send that to you. It doesn't even have to be, I can just send you the case law. that
Oh,
says-
Okay, and as a point of information, it's not this body that has executive sessions that often, but it is a common practice in the select board, because, for example, we have executive sessions about labor negotiations.
Right.
Those are privileged because they're negotiations,
Right,
until well after the negotiations period ceases, do they release those.
Correct,
executive
so-
session minutes. So that's one of the many exemptions where they're not, even in draft form, they're not able to be released right away. That's a very common practice of what we are allowed to, because there's certain things, to Liz's point, that are attorney-client privilege, or just things that are not ready for public consumption.
so you have released executive session minutes tonight, right?
This public body. has
This
it.
public body has, but the issue, the complaint is not resolved.
And until they, well, they're gonna vote on a response, presumably that they worked on an executive session. This public body.
No, I'm talking about the complaint regarding open meeting law, and Tim's actions after the meeting was closed.
So they.
So they voted to release that
Yes,
tonight.
correct.
So now they can be released.
But that confuses me because my understanding was that you don't draft or release, you don't present open meeting executive session minutes until the issue is resolved and,
As determined by the board. The board has to determine that the issue is resolved and that they can. be
as far
released.
as they know, the issue is resolved. Okay,
Yes.
all right,
So at this
okay.
point tonight, off the best information they had at the time,
All right,
they're assuming it's
okay,
resolved because they've issued their response, and that's
okay,
the process.
okay, all right. Regardless, is if myself as the complainant has additional information, it's not relevant to this board.
They've
This-
responded, if you
right.
feel like you have more, then there's your procedure would be.
But it has nothing to do with those executive session minutes.
Not unless the
Okay.
board determines that it did, it's their discretion.
Okay, okay, all right. Thank you all.
Moving on, the town council response to the February 24th all-mail complaint filed by Allison Sloan. Of course, I can't find my copy.
Isn't it crazy? Town council response.
What are we supposed to do with it? That's the question.
It's just so you have it. You can just say.
That it was delivered
The
to
board
everyone.
responded, it was delivered to everybody, it's been addressed.
Okay.
Is this the one, is this dated March 22nd?
That's the evaluation. What's the date on it? This is the February 13th one.
Yeah, and then I just put out the other one. It's not exactly, isn't that what it is?
This is it right here.
I believe so.
Say again?
March 14th.
March 14th, okay, yeah, that is not what I have in front of me.
But this
No,
is the
that's the
newest
most,
one.
that's the
This is,
newest
this
one.
is the
So it
newest
must
one.
be underneath there. March 22nd. is
March,
the-
right,
That's from Elizabeth Lyden, the response from last year.
yeah.
And maybe if you keep going, I think maybe you didn't print it out.
I probably didn't print it out because at that point I was gonna owe my
No, but-
office $100.
No, I think you must need
With
to
all the
print it
printing
out.
and the-
I owe
And
myself.
do we need to
$100.
make a motion? That's the question.
So we're just making a motion that we've seen it.
No,
That
you don't
everybody's
have to make.
received it.
Oh, we're not making any motion, we're just,
That's nothing. Okay.
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 Economic 2023 scholarship updates.
I talked to them,
I thought so.
yep. So we're in,
We're all set.
we're all set.
Perfect.
And it was good timing because I called them on like 3 other scholarships for other people, so we got them all hooked in.
Super. Thank you so much.
And they're very, as you probably all know, they're all very appreciative
Mhm.
of any scholarships, so they're very appreciative.
Well, everything's so expensive to go to school nowadays. It's insane.
Unfortunately, I think our scholarships now just pay for books. I don't know if they pay for any education.
Tim, what amount is that you assigned to it, that was assigned to it, or has been?
I don't think we were. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
We
that's
haven't
the
put that,
vote.
we haven't let them know that. We didn't let
March 24th
Masco
one, so is that
know that
this?
yet.
They were just wondering if you were still interested in.
That's, they just want to make sure that they can put it in.
I didn't know if you had signed a dollar. amount.
No, I didn't sign, I don't sign anything.
Not signed, you said assigned based on,
Yeah, no,
maybe Loretta said.
no, just confirm, they
This
they
is
were
the
calling,
determination
like,
sent
they
to
call
you,
up the
yeah.
1728 club, are you guys gonna give a scholarship this year, they call up.
Okay.
You know, everybody, are you gonna give a scholarship, and then they know, it needs a scholarship, and then they'll call up.
And then we'll have it on, in a meeting at some later point. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Moving on, we're on to 1-year performance evaluation of our library director. Thank you.
So I did send out a draft composite evaluation at the end of last week. I did spend some time organizing my thoughts for tonight as to the presentation of the composite evaluation. So if the board's ready, I'm just gonna dig in on my notes. So, and Stephanie, I don't want to burden you, I can send this to you via email for your convenience.
Thank you.
I appreciate that I'm a verbose person. So today I want to address what I think is a critical point of conflict for the library board of trustees. So in open session is it's the only avenue available to me to address the board of trustees as a whole. The goal of this conversation is to clear the air and restart the process. As per usual, I began assembling my composite evaluation by computing the averages for all the numerical scores and adding those to the form. Then I began working through each section at a time, including a composite of comments, both good and bad, to provide a sense of the section that incorporates 5 perspectives, but is portrayed as one voice of the public body. I normally would take the same action for the goals section. When compiling this evaluation for the library director, I completed the numerical scoring, which is what you have in front of you, and sent it via email. I did not and will not complete the comment section for the following reasons. Some of the comments were inaccurate or false, not opinions, but false. 2, there's a lack of professional courtesy and integrity in the comments. And 3, the criticisms are not constructive and offer no achievable alternatives. As the assistant town administrator, HR director, and currently as the interim town administrator, one of my main roles in the community is to protect the town from liability. By not producing this document, I am protecting the town from possible workplace liability. As elected officials, you form a public body. It is only as that public body that you can affect change, establish policies, or act. I can make no recommendation to you tonight as a public body based on the individual evaluations that were provided to me. Further, my job is to protect you as elected officials and the town from liability and risk. I could not complete or issue the composite evaluation without creating a risk for the town and furthering the environment of this body and creating a workplace that is hostile for this body's direct reports. The comments are not an accurate use of the assessment tool when it comes to managing performance. There was a lack of objectivity and clarity in the performance reviews. As someone who is sworn to uphold the town's charter and bylaws, my job is to ensure a uniform, fair, and efficient application of the personnel policies. And further, as interim town administrator, the bylaws provide me with all of the personnel management powers and duties as provided in the town charter and town personnel policies. Further, as a member of the International City and County Managers Association, which has a pretty high standard code of ethics, I want to provide this information to you as professional advice and remind you that as elected representatives, you are accountable to the community for the decisions you make as a public body. With that, I would put forward to this body a recommendation of the goals from the previously completed 6-month evaluation carried forward into the next cycle, and to move forward with just the other numerical results for the evaluation. So that's my recommendation for tonight, and Stephanie, I'll send you the minutes.
Do we have the goals that were listed from last time? Could you read those so that we know
I
what they are?
even might have printed copies.
I have them somewhere too, but I don't think I brought them this time.
No, I'm sorry, I don't have copies. So, the strengths that were identified in the last evaluation included: 1, openness to public and staff, calm, positive attitude; 2, in-depth knowledge of the library and its history.
I'm
3,
sorry, slow yourself down, please.
So this is also in the evaluation from last
Yes,
fall,
I know.
Alex, and I'm just reading. from
I
that
know,
document.
I'm just trying to write too.
Yeah, so 1, openness to public and staff is exceptional / calm and positive attitude. 2, in-depth knowledge of library and its history. 3, empathetic awareness of people and ideas. 4, aware of collection strengths and weaknesses. 5, high degree of patience. 6, good communication on maintenance issues. 7, can cover any public-facing positions when needed. 8, presents useful monthly reports on circulation programs and lending. 9, good representation of the library at community events. 10, successful hiring of new personnel. The developmental objectives agreed to at that time included: 1, complete MLIS degree within established timeframe. 2, additional continuing education and participation in library associations / conferences. 3, additional community outreach with specific populations and general public. Social media can be utilized. 4, more comprehensive long-range planning that can be incorporated into the library's annual budget proposals. 5, seek additional grants and supplemental money outside of town budget, state aid, and friends. 6, provide customer service training to frontline staff and provide funding in FY24 to allow staff to access more out-of-building trainings. 7, increase time supporting staff as a group and individually with the following goals: 1, complete MLIS degree within established timeframe. 2, attend in-person conferences and trainings, for example, ELA, MLA. 3, continue to develop mentorship relationships with longer tenured library directors in the area. 4, continue to develop and expand the collection across all areas, but the tween and programming in particular. 5, assess options to conduct townwide assessment to evaluate patron priorities to inform and develop a 5-year strategic plan. Additional customer service, reference service, and technology training for staff. 8, expand library hours in future budgets. 9, increase staff morale with additional training and appreciation events. So I strongly encourage you to move forward with these goals from the 6-month to this evaluation. You have the numerical evaluations that I emailed at the end of last week that are the public document of this body. And that's my presentation tonight, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much,
And
Jackie.
Chair,
for storing it.
Jackie, I was not a member at that point. Could you somehow email me that copy, or maybe
Actually, I
email
can
it?
hand you the copy I have printed in front of me. But I can also email.
Why don't you just email it to me, so I have that.
No problem.
I think it would be helpful to be able to digest this, Jackie. I think we can't just do it tonight. I mean, I happen to have the one that was able to show it to Donna here too, but I don't think everybody has it in front of them. I happen to have it in my
Fully
folder.
respect that your public body, you may need to deliberate and you may need time until your next meeting to consider
I think so.
it.
If we could make a motion for
Would
that.
you like to make a
I
motion?
will,
Oops,
I'm sorry,
Go
just
ahead.
wanna. I'm just trying to understand what you're recommending, Jackie. You're saying that because of the comments that were submitted with the evaluations, you are unable to make a composite like you did last year and give us highlights from what people said?
I'm only able to provide you with a composite with the numerical sections and the goals section. I am not able to complete a composite with the comments.
And who will have access to those comments that you cannot present in this open meeting?
No one. They are the individual evaluations. They are not a public document of this body, and they are not yet considered personnel records. So they do not go into the director's personnel file, nor are they a document of this public body that is publicly records requestable. I
So,
will be happy to speak with anyone offline individually, but
okay,
I will not discuss it further in public session.
okay, fair enough.
But I have a code of ethics that I follow as a manager.
Mhm.
I have the law that I follow as a manager, both the bylaws and charter of this community, as well as the mass general laws.
Mhm.
And in that, in good conscience, I cannot move forward. As a protection of this body, you would be creating a liability for the town if I produced that document, as I normally would have done with the commentary. And I am not gonna say more in open session to that. If folks wanna make individual appointments with me before your next meeting, I'm happy to do that.
So what you're basically saying is that the evaluations that we offered will not go to anyone
Correct.
and will not go, including the select board, for example, would not go to the select
They
board.
would never have access to them in any circumstance. The same way they would not have access to each other's individual evaluations of a town administrator either. Those go to me, the composite gets created, and then they're done.
And so is this process then converted from an attempt to evaluate and improve the you know,
I'd be very mindful of what you're saying.
I know I am. So is this process no longer that, but now a private, it's completely private, and the exercise we all went through is basically pointless,
It wasn't pointless because there's numerical evaluations and there's important goal setting.
right?
But I will tell you that a document composite with the evaluation commentary provided to my
No, I
office
understand.
will not become part of the public record.
I
Due to
understand
the
that.
inaccuracies, falsehoods, and lack of professionalism in the commentary.
And
Let's
who's,
move on,
who, okay,
please. Let us move
I'll
on.
talk with Jackie privately. Thank
That
you.
would be a great idea.
Yeah.
I want to thank you personally for doing this. Thank you very much.
It's really not for anyone, Donna, other than my own code of ethics. And I will say that
And I'm grateful.
Thank you. So I can make a motion, I'd like to make a motion that we,
We're not even gonna discuss this, you're saying, not even?
I
the-
think that,
No.
I think people should digest it
I
as a
think we
whole.
should go
Okay.
next month.
Next
Please
month's
make your
meeting. May I
motion.
make a motion that we consider what Jackie has presented to us in between, I'm sorry,
No, she's just,
upset,
it's okay. Keep going. You're doing it right.
upset that I'm making a motion?
No,
No.
You're doing fine. We're waiting for
I'm
you.
saying-
We're
All
waiting
right,
for you.
I'm like, I thought I was right on target.
You are.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion that the board move this to next month's meeting to review in the next month's meeting.
Right.
Second.
And Jackie's suggestion that we take on the 6 months,
Sure.
That's May's meeting.
May's meeting, yes.
Second.
I seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Opposed.
Thank you. All right. You, policy number 16, trust fund investment policy. This one was very wordy,
yes,
and probably Tim understands it better than I do. But anybody have anything?
Yes, I worked with Loretta on this, and I did get to her a smidge late, which I apologize. I had a crazy month, and I made copies at her request of edits that I presented, and I got it to you too.
Do you have one for Aaron? too?
Yeah, it's right
It's
there.
right there.
Thank you.
So to make it easy, I was not able, and it's my own fault, to edit the PDF that Loretta submitted. So what I did was I just made this extra page and I copied at the top. I copied at the top how I did the red and green and all that, and then I did the suggested edit version of what it would turn into, so you can just read it straight through and see the language to make it easier.
Where does this one start? Like the first one said attention to, where is that?
So instead of, because of the modest current balance of the trust fund, I just started it attention, and then all these red things, they're out of here. They're-
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
So
see.
you can just read it with all the edits, but then you can see how it would read after it was all done.
Okay. Wait a
I
minute,
am,
I'm still confused. Where's this one? I'm sorry, Donna. I was trying to
this
see where
is
this
this,
suggested, but where is that here?
this is here.
Oh, you're starting down here, nothing up
No,
here.
no,
Okay.
yeah, no, I didn't do, I only did edits starting here, for
Oh,
example.
okay.
Yeah,
got
I
it.
didn't have to make edits to every
On
single
page one,
piece.
there's no edits. Okay.
I had none, I don't know if anyone else does.
All right, it's my suggestion, since this is already a difficult policy and there seems to be a lot,
Of edits.
I'd love to see a motion that we take the time to review this and come back and talk about it.
I make a
Could I-
motion that we table the matter till next meeting.
Could I add something to it, Tim, if I
Sure.
could? Would it be helpful, Loretta, if you took, so that, because it wasn't clear to me, like the edits, as Allison said, she wasn't able to work with your PDF, that you take what she did here, as you've done in past policies for us, and show us the current and then the edited one?
So with board approval, I can certainly do that. If you'd rather review the changes before I put them in, that's fine too. You know, but the draft, the edited version was submitted to me too late.
Right,
Right,
right. So maybe,
So-
Tim, if you want to do that.
I kind of would like to look at it first before we stick them in there.
No, remember how
that's
we've
me.
done it before with policies, Donna? We have the one and then Loretta provides the edited one on the next section. Made it easier when we looked at policies.
Except to Loretta, I don't know.
How much work
I'm
is that?
taking up all her
It's not
time.
terribly, you know, the
It's not
Conversations.
that many.
Okay, I would make that with that addition.
I think it would help us to.
Yeah, Tim, I just want to update you that part of my role on the board was to work with Loretta to get all the policies updated so that the board didn't have to spend so much time in each meeting doing the line item edits. So that's why I have been working for the past year with Loretta, and we've been going back and forth and creating a draft policy with edits that we would present. Unfortunately, this month was a very difficult month
Okay,
for me,
no,
and
no.
so I got it to her too late for her to be able
So
to
I
do
will
that.
second that motion that Loretta, that we move it to next month's meeting, May, and that Loretta incorporate the edits that Allison. and
So we have one
everybody- so we
version
have-
unchanged.
and we have the
So-
original version
Version,
and
and then
then
And
the
the
change.
edit.
suggested.
And
Every-
you're okay with that?
That's fine.
I don't want to be using up your time for,
No, I think it's important.
all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
All
you.
those that
Thanks,
are not, okay.
thanks, Loretta.
Erin, is she okay?
I think she went to the bathroom.
Should- should find you.
I think she said she went to the bathroom.
Tim, you're up. Treasurer's report.
We got money.
Yay!
Do you have access, Tim?
I don't have access, no, I don't have access to the money. I've sent in all the documents. I talked to them a couple of times. They assure me it's coming. They show me the check writing, even though we won't write any checks, but the biggest problem that I have right now is, do you get the copy of the monthly statement? Because they have the Flint Library as the address, and I'm trying to get them to change, but can I just tell you, I'm a little hesitant to change the address, because I don't want everything coming to me if it had to be changed. So it still says it's coming to the Flint Library.
So, if I may.
Please.
We always received physical copies
Yes,
from the investment companies. We stopped receiving them a few years back, and I think it coincided with COVID. And I think they stuck with digital
so do you,
distribution. I'm not getting anything.
That
We're
would
not
be that
getting
someone
Not
opted,
digital either?
someone opted for it, that's why.
no, it was probably George, but I'm just,
Yeah,
so,
he must have opted for
but
digital.
so you're not getting them,
No.
and I'm not getting, okay, so, all right. I had assumed that they were coming here, so
Yeah.
let me,
So
I am
I
now.
believe what was happening was they were
No.
being reviewed when you were logging into the account. And
okay.
then that was downloaded and distributed.
Okay, okay. So
We do have money, you know.
we have money, it hasn't been touched because no one has the ability to write checks. But I will bring it up next month.
Okay, super.
Because
Thank
we would
you.
have to do it for scholarships, right?
Right, either that or we'll have to go fundraising.
That usually, we pay that out in July.
All right, moving on to the director's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We're starting off with the circulation and the budget reports. We'll just look at the circulation report, going over that first.
I count on you to please to do it because my printer won't print this out like this.
Does anyone else need a?
I'll take one.
I have one.
I have it in various forms.
Mine would be like all over the place.
I have that. I actually
I
have
did
one.
print the
my
purple
own.
one out.
I am lucky.
So as you can
I
see,
feel blessed.
we are up for March and year over year, fiscal years. So March circulation, we broke the 7,000 mark. We
Wow.
circulated over 7,311 items. And year over year, it's 5,282 items more circulated this year
Thank
than last year.
thank you, very good.
And we're seeing similar trends in our attendance. So we were almost at 4,000. We were just shy of seeing 4,000 people come into our library last month. But we are 4,201 more patrons visited this year than last.
Can I ask a question? How do we compare to 2019 before COVID?
2019?
Yeah.
So at this point in FY 2019, I don't have those numbers.
Right.
But I know that the entire year, FY 19 was our high year. So
Right.
we had.
Which I would have expected. We would have been in full swing and, right.
So we circulated 80,000 items and I believe we had 40 or 60,000 patrons visit the library, and I can't remember. But 2019 is our record year that I am striving to get back to,
Okay, so.
or exceed in all.
Well, yeah, no, but that's exactly what I'd like to know if for next meeting, when you do these, I'd love to see how we compare not to a COVID year, but how we compare to pre-COVID.
I will say that we are seeing strong numbers, attendance and circulation. We haven't seen the real dips that many other libraries have. A lot of libraries are not even recovering really from since COVID. So I am very proud of the numbers that you see before you tonight. It is a testament to the Flint team for sure. So thank you to them. Are there any questions on the breakdown or details included in this report? I'm happy to answer them for you.
That's great.
Moving on to the budget report. So we're well on our way to seeing the end of FY 23. We're already closed out March. We have May, June, and July, which is reflected in our balances too. So we have 3 months left of the fiscal year. We're in pretty good shape. Like I said, we are still in the negatives for the equipment repair. We'll be planning on pulling from postage, but really that's the only one that we are in the negatives right now. That and the training and education. We did dip into the negatives there for the MMA training that I went to, conference that I went to last month.
$55.
It was a $55 to attend. Yes, it was well worth it. Worth
I say
everything.
throwing those nickels around like the animal.
Nice.
Really?
So, any questions on that?
Looks great.
It is what it is, right?
Oh, that equipment repair, that 151 is what you said we were taking out of postage?
We'll most likely have money left over in postage, so that's what we're from to cover that. That's the plan so far. It could change as we move throughout the year, if we have, we're just inundated with overdue notices that need to be mailed out, and we're buying rolls and rolls of stamps, then we may pull them somewhere else, but for right now, I fully suspect it will be postage.
I think that's a good decision.
So moving on to program statistics. Did anyone have any questions on the document that I shared with you? For that. It's the chart with the breakdown of adult programming.
This one.
Correct.
Shoulder.
Teens and children.
When did it go? Say when it came out.
Looks great.
Yep, I have no questions.
Okay, great, fabulous. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to staff training and updates. Sorry, you
I
were gonna ask
did
a
want to
question?
say something about programming, how I think in the last couple months, I'm seeing some really nice tween programming, which is what I'm cheering for. And I want to thank you for that.
You can thank Jackie.
I,
She is the
I
one
will.
with her, she's putting on her creative cap
Great.
and really putting a lot of effort into building team programming. So I do thank Jackie for all her efforts there. So again, staff and training. So Adrian is settling in well as our new adult services librarian, page 2, as our new circulation ILL librarian. They're really eager to learn. They ask great questions, and they're, like I said, really settling in quite well. Last month, I completed my annual performance evaluations of the staff. Michelle did the custodians, the annual performance evaluations for the custodians. But I will be working closely with the staff over the next 12 months to achieve identified goals. So you also received in the packet, the staff trainings and workshops that were attended last month. Just so you have that with you. Any questions on it? Okay. So just a reminder that the library will have a delayed opening on Tuesday, April 25th for staff training and development. The library will open at 1:00 p.m. that day. So MBLC and MLS partnered together to offer all MBLC libraries a virtual training on reference services and best practices for conducting a reference interview and interaction with patrons. It was something that I had reached out to MBLC asking for. And they sent out an email to directors asking who else was interested. It was resounding yes. So they reached out to MLS, because MLS currently offers what they call accidental reference librarian training. So they're going to tailor that to MBLC libraries and the resources that we have available to us, and tailor that training for library MBLC staff. So it's critical that our team attend. So that's why I made a very difficult decision to have a delayed opening on a Tuesday. I unfortunately didn't get to offer my opinion on when it would be a good time to have the training. It really depended on when MBLC staff was available and when MLS had the staff available to run the training. So
what date is that again? please?
Tuesday, April 25th,
April 25th.
correct, will open at 1:00 p.m.
And I did have a conversation with you, and I'd like to express it in the meeting, that I understand we're at the whims of MBLC and MLS and when they do their trainings, but I am hoping that we no longer need to close the building to patron services in order to train our staff. We need this training. I'm wholeheartedly for this training and the others. I just need to say that we can't keep closing our taxpayers' access to our building during our open hours. So we have to figure out a way to juggle that and work with BLC and MLS and anybody else who does a training. Town hall, I know Jackie has been doing some trainings as well. So that's just an opinion I want to put on the table.
So I do understand and I do empathize, you know, having the library open, servicing the patrons, that is obviously a priority. But also too, we need to have a trained staff that are aware of all the resources that are available to them, because they are changing. Our subscriptions change, the costs go up, we cut, we add new, so it is critical. We do have staff that will take group trainings, and we are keeping the library open for those. When it's feasible, when it's possible, we do keep the library open.
No, I know it's a priority for you. I
Correct.
totally understand that.
But I also want to make the point that staff attends trainings regularly.
Mhm.
And we keep the building open.
Great.
So this is a team training where it's across the board.
Yeah.
It applies to everyone.
Great.
We are all reference librarians here, myself included, my assistant director included. We answer that phone, we get those emails, we are doing the research to get the answers for our patrons.
Right.
I cannot have the library open without staff. So if everyone's in there,
Sure.
you know, it's a difficult situation. And like I said, we do strive to have our doors open as much as possible.
The
The
other-
last time we were closed for staff development and training was December.
Great.
So
The other thing I'd like to know is, would you like trustee support with MLS or MBLC to encourage them to record these trainings? Because that would mean that we could keep a skeleton staff at the desks and keep the building open, and then they would have availability to access these trainings, if not in the moment to ask questions live, at least to attend the training.
they are aware that that is an option to
Okay.
record, and they do. They record. some
And they're not
trainings.
recording this one?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Right, that's what we talked
So-
about.
Some lend themselves to being recorded and
Mhm.
viewing later,
Mhm.
others do not, especially when there's breakout sessions and you're working in teams and you're
Mhm.
doing these role plays where I'm the patron, this is my
Mhm.
reference question, you ask me, conducting a reference interview, you know,
Right,
so
right.
again, this is really not one that lends itself.
I'm going to the MLA conference in May. It will actually conflict with our next meeting, so I'd like to talk about that. But I will be sitting down in programs and talking to MBLC, MLS, MVLC as well. So I will have opportunities to open conversations with them and encourage them to record and offer that.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
So updates on the building and technology. As mentioned at last month's meeting, exterior lighting by the book drop, especially during the evening, is a concern. So I'm working with the library's electrician to fix those globe lights that are to the left and the right of each entrance. We have them here and then also too at the parking lot entrance. Currently, those 4 light fixtures, they fill with water and they short out. So that was the issue and why they were not working. So my goal is to have them repaired or replaced so that we have lighting at both entrances during evening hours and when it's dark.
That explains.
Yes, yeah. So the website continues to experience issues with plugins and updates. Michelle and I are working with InMotion, our hosting company, to determine the best solution, whether or not it's switching from the theme that we're currently using and customized to make it exactly the way we want it. But unfortunately, the issue appears to be with the theme, so we may have to shift going forward.
Is this still the plugins?
The plugins, yes, they're not compatible with the theme that we're using. All of the updates aren't compatible.
What is the theme that you're talking about?
Divi Child is the theme that we're using. It's a WordPress website theme appearance. We've customized it so heavily to make it do what we want to do.
Right,
it's not.
so it's the colors and the lettering, the fonts
The
and the,
menus, the
and the
links,
menus.
everything, the drop down, even when you hover your mouse, all of those are really in-depth coding.
can you spell what it is? Divi what?
Divi, Divi, D-I-V-I,
Divi.
Child is the name of the theme, but there are other Divi themes too. We use Divi Child as the base, but again, it doesn't, If you look up Divvy Child, it looks different than what we are currently doing because
Okay.
we're so heavily modified.
But you've customized it, okay.
Sure.
And would it be worth it to give up Divvy Child and pick one that works with the plugins?
So that's where we're at right now. Unfortunately, our website can go back to being a very basic website and not really what we're looking, so, and not everything's gonna migrate over from theme to theme, so it's not as simple as we would like it to be.
How long ago did we choose Divvy Child?
Less than a year.
Yeah, less than a year, but enough that what we would lose could not be recreated with another theme.
Anything can be recreated, it's just gonna take extensive amounts of time. And we do that all the time.
And we do that all in-house. And is that an issue we'd like to discuss?
I'd like to have the control of the website in the library because we update so frequently. I'd rather.
But would the big
That's what we're talking with Emotion about.
in motion? Okay.
So the library experienced a brief power outage last week, if the lights just flickered, but it was enough to wreak havoc on the library's technology in our technology room downstairs. So our phones are digital, so our phones went down, internet went down, our Wi-Fi was down, our servers were affected, so that affected our website. I did have to reboot a bunch of equipment, cycle it several times, but it kind of rebooted in the proper order, so everything was connecting again, but we're back up and running. So that issue was actually separate from the website issues we've been seeing before. It was strictly because of the power outage. So an update on the trustees email.
Oh, I was just gonna ask you, that's what you brought up, just what I was gonna ask. you,
Okay.
The trustees email, thank you.
Yeah, so as I mentioned to the board, and it was determined that the trustees at flintpublic.org email was not working. It was not forwarding the incoming emails. So no one was receiving email messages sent to that address. So I reached out to MBLC, I spoke with them to kind of determine what the issue was. And they informed me that they instituted several security measures. One of which included no longer auto forwarding to outside email addresses. So what happened was when we decided to have MBLC create the email address, and then we took a few meetings to kind of decide how we would manage that. During that time, MBLC was also meeting and discussing their cybersecurity and decided to make that move. So when we went live after that already went into effect. So that's why the email that we had was not being forwarded because it was falling under that security measure. So MBLC went in, they manually, they performed a manual override to allow for forwarding to outside email addresses. So now our email address is live again, but going forward, I have now shared permissions, so I can view that inbox myself. So I now open up 2-3 mailboxes every day, mine, the trustees, and then the Flint 3 at Comcast, but beside the point. So now I can see that anything coming into the trustees email should also be coming into my director email. When that doesn't happen, I know we have a problem
Excellent,
and it will be resolved very well.
excellent.
And I can manually forward out anything that doesn't auto forward out. So luckily there were only 2 emails in the trustees inbox that needed attention. But both were already being handled. One was the open meeting law decision, which has already been shared with the board, but also to Masco reaching out about the scholarship, which I had already been doing and Tim has already done. So we were all set there. You know, we luckily dodged one there, but we're back up and running and it should be fine going forward, and we'll be keeping an eye on it too. So thank you for your patience with that. So regarding programming and services, I am working with programming librarians, Flint programming librarians, and the town's accounting department to set up performers in Munis for payment. because thank you for your generosity in allocating state aid funds for programming. We will begin using those funds in May to pay for several of the programmers or performers that we have scheduled for that month. Also, I do want to mention to the board that I spoke with council and they agreed to look over all the library policies to ensure that they're legally sound and that we actually are, all our efforts are worthwhile. I recently attended a training put on by MBLC with a B, so Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners, and they recommended that libraries have council take a look at all of their policies. So we'll be doing that every few years, hopefully, just to make sure that any changes, revisions, updates stand.
I have a question about that. A couple months ago, Tim gave us some opinion and advice on disclaimer statement. And I know I got that information from other libraries and I respect your opinion on them, I do. I just wondered if in this setting where MBLC is looking at this issue, can you ask them about the disclaimers? Should our policies include disclaimers?
So MBLC isn't, we working with town council on our policies. So I can certainly ask what their
Oh,
recommendations
okay, I thought
are.
you said MB.
MBLC recommended libraries do this.
Okay, okay.
That's as far as it went with MBLC. So I've reached out to council and they agreed that they would take a look at our policies.
So can we, considering what Tim was saying, can we just look again at disclaimers? And if
So I'll
we need
mention
them-
it to council and
Yeah,
say, you know,
yeah,
disclaimers.
thank you.
With this, you know, what are your recommendations here? I recently attended a training on incivility in the workplace. So as a result, I will be working on creating a workplace civility and respect policy that I hope to have completed over the next few weeks. My goal is to have a first draft available to the board for review at next month's meeting. So stay tuned for
This
that.
other one too.
Yes, but this, you know, if we can do both at the meeting, that would be great. Hopefully it won't take as much time because I will have policy number 16, the one we took a look at tonight, updated with Allison's recommendations. So like I said, hopefully we can go through it a little quicker and get both done in one meeting.
How does the workplace civility and respect policy enhance the policies we have now as far as behavior within the library?
So this is geared more towards in-house. Our code of conduct is for patrons.
Right.
Visiting the library. So this is more management to staff, staff to staff.
We need a
board to-
policy for that?
It is strongly advised, and yes. we do.
I'm sorry, strongly advised by,
MLS, who put on the training, and
okay,
also myself.
okay.
Thank you.
I'm not sure I agree. I kind of would like to see fewer policies, but then more effective. So I'm wondering if we could combine the two, the indoor, the inside the building and the outside of the building, but
They're two very different things.
okay, all right, I'll be looking forward to it. Numbers 53, whatever the number is.
Madam Chair, may I ask a
Yes,
point of information?
yes, please, Jackie.
I will say too, Loretta brought up the policy she's talking about to me, and it's something that we're looking to likely incorporate in the entire HR handbook. She just happened to be the person that went to the training, brought this to my attention, so whatever she puts together will likely be in the employee-wide handbook.
I would see that as a very positive step, yeah.
So to kind of build off of what Jackie just said, thank you, Jackie. I will be drafting a more general, broader civility and respect policy that will be reviewed by Jackie for consideration for the employee handbook. The one that I will have for you to review as a board is a little bit more specific to libraries. The Flint.
And how does Robert's rules come into this?
What is your?
Robert's rules of conduct specifically speak to civility and respect. That's what they're kind of all about.
In meetings, in deliberating in a meeting.
Yes,
This is
true,
more workplace, not open meeting.
right.
So the library will be closed Sunday and Monday, April 16th and 17th for Patriots Day. And again, I will just remind that everyone, the delayed opening, 1 o'clock, Tuesday, the 25th. So those two things affecting April hours. So I also shared with you the FY '24 budget proposal. That is printed out from ClearGov. So the budget you see before you shows the final numbers that Sarah, our finance director, entered in to ClearGov for the salaries and the wages. So I would like to open it up for discussion or questions.
So there's a decrease in the second line there because you increased the part-time line, is that what that is, Loretta?
There's an increase. So salaries and wages.
Yeah.
So that saw a decrease for a couple reasons. One, we have people coming in at lower steps than those that left. But also two, I did reorganize. We were paying some of our part-time, we were using some of the surplus in the salaries and wages because of the difference in pay. To pay some of our part-time people. We've now pulled that out and put it into part-time. So we're just cleaning it up a little bit. So that's why it is different, slightly different.
But more to the point of what you said is that people who left it were at higher
That's
steps.
predominantly.
I see.
correct.
Okay, because it's a big difference. But overall, it's going up. quite a bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say overall.
Correct.
Mhm.
You will see that the programming request for the $5,000 is in there.
Yes, thank you. I did notice that first thing. Electricity's going down in the budget.
Slightly.
Is that really good? I think that'd be,
We have not spent the full entirety on electricity. So
Only 100.
it's a little, it's only $150.
yeah,
But it more accurately reflects our
Cool.
spending trends.
very nice.
But we obviously increased our fuel.
And equipment repair, we seem to always need to find money for equipment repair, and so
That went up $500.
is that enough?
It should be. I hope so.
Eh,
But again, these are, looking at what we have done and what we've needed, that's what we based on FY '24 on our requests. But you never know. I mean, you never know what's going to break. But looking at the past few years, 1,500 should be enough.
Laura,
I'm
can I
laughing at
ask, this is the only thing that you're showing us that different that we didn't see before is the salaries and wages are in there
Correct.
now, correct? So everything else. was what
And the
we saw.
$5,000.
And the 5,000, well, but we did talk about it. in
We
the
talked
meeting.
about it, but it wasn't put it yet, right?
Right.
But the draft that you saw, it was
Right.
not put in.
So all these numbers that are
Are
down
the
here
same.
are the same as what we saw in the January meeting, I forget.
January.
Or your secondary computer's gonna die, just wanna.
Oh, the battery's running low on this.
Sorry, I didn't wanna interrupt, but I didn't
Oh, right, that's probably here.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
So Loretta,
Yeah, really.
what you're asking,
Jack,
Jackie of all trades.
That you can
Jackie
see
of all
that,
trades.
that you see that far, impresses me. I know, she-
so you were asking for an additional full-time person and 2 additional part-time, what is it in here?
They're not
You're not, that's a supplement is separate from this.
correct, and
Okay,
they were not approved,
so that's out.
correct.
So, that's news.
Yeah.
We weren't
So-
aware of that. as I-
Correct,
at
so
least I
this
don't
is,
think the
this is
board
the
was.
operating budget,
Mhm.
so separate from the supplemental request, so I was going to go over this and then.
Oh, okay,
update.
you were gonna get to that, okay.
So it's pretty straightforward, but,
on the month.
Do you need to vote on it? I didn't think we vote on it.
so board approval.
But don't we need to know what happened to stuff like,
So this is the operating budget. It's,
Right.
Again, separate.
So you've
from-
increased
supplemental.
travel 200?
Correct, because we are increasing our training. And more trainings are going to in person. So we have
Right.
to increase that.
200.
But this is all that we saw before too. It's not, nothing here is new except for the salary line.
I don't remember that.
What was that?
Okay. And dues, fees and subscriptions is out of our control, I'm assuming.
Right, that's for our ALA membership and our
Yeah.
NLS.
Yeah, and
MMA,
MBA, yeah,
NLS membership.
yeah. I'm assuming though, they raise it, we don't have a choice. Yeah. That's the total, I would say, no, of this?
No, this, Loretta, what's this, 914?
The other total.
No, that's not line, that's what that is?
Yeah.
Oh,
other
I'm
total.
sorry, it's down, it's going the other
So,
way.
right, so you'll see
Going
the
it the other way.
totals are in bold and then the breakdown is
Yeah.
below.
Thank you.
How did the report that you worked on for Jackie about reverse step stuff impact our work and this?
Reverse steps.
Adding the step.
You did the whole steps
Oh, the
evaluation.
step, the restructure?
Yeah,
So that was used for this budget here that you're looking at, the FY 24 budget.
But we didn't approve that step, those extra steps that you were looking to put in.
The restructure?
Mhm.
I don't remember if a motion was made to
We-
accept that.
We never, it was
Um,
never presented at a board meeting, you just showed it to us. but we
No, it
never-
was a discussion because there was a concern or confusion on whether Allison was saying, don't pay them more or do pay them more.
Right, but we never made a motion.
I
or
was at that
anything.
meeting, so I
Right.
know it occurred.
Right,
But we didn't
and the
make a
board was in
motion.
support of doing it.
I thought we were in support
Right.
of doing it, yes.
I don't
So
remember
Allison
doing a
said, no,
motion.
she wants to get people paid as much as, you know.
Mm,
they
I just
were.
don't recall a motion.
Yes.
So, like I said, that was used.
Okay.
Does anybody have a motion to approve this?
I make such a motion.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Oh, it passes.
Excellent, thank you. And I think
Do you want that?
the town finance department and HR and town admin on their help with this.
It came late. She sent it late in the afternoon.
All right, are you complete?
So as I mentioned, almost,
Something else.
there were supplemental requests for tonight.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No, it's a tight year. I'm
It
happy
is.
that we got the 5,000. I mean, they didn't cut everything.
So we got that extra 5,000 without a problem. Very good, Allison.
Except for the fact that we lost the two people that we
Correct.
desperately need in order to use the 5,000.
But no one's getting the supplemental stuff with the police and
Yeah.
I
fire.
was so excited, Yanni, when I was looking at the numbers that the friends were gonna come through for us and that we transferred from state aid and that I just,
Well, the decision has not been made.
No,
by
but I was
the
just
Friends
looking at
about
the
What we're gonna allocate for FY 24.
right, I was
That's
just
something we're gonna do at our next meeting.
sure, but I was just looking at what the staff requested and those numbers, and that's empowering. I think we're gonna really, I like the way the programming is moving towards moving.
And I should follow up with comment on the state aid funds. Those, they're not tied to fiscal year, they're not tied to calendar year. Those can be used as programming, as we-
Throughout,
Throughout,
right, correct.
So we may not have the staffing to use all of that money this year. You know, we may just be able to hire additional performers as we have staffing to cover these tests, the circulation tests. So I'm incredibly thankful to the board, but do understand that it may not all be spent in 1 year.
As long as by not spending it, in my opinion, we don't diminish the programs we offer, the full roundedness of the programs we offer to all our population. That's the key. I don't want to not spend it and then not have enough money to cover a great
It's predicated
program.
on having bodies in the building, and being able to.
Yeah.
Run a program.
Well, you're at full staff,
Circulation
aren't
tests.
you? You're at full staff.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Knock on wood.
Did you just need in a library custodian without me knowing?
No, I know, we can't.
Uh-oh.
Not quite yet.
Yeah.
We're almost.
I'm screwing for you.
Our floors aren't swept, but we're,
Then they are, our floors are swept.
right.
I was just complimented by a patron, this is the cleanest library I visit. Just like, we do have a good custodial team. So, all right, that's it for me, for my report. Thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you for.
So next meeting is May 8th, 7 o'clock. Love to hear a motion to close this meeting.
I have, I have a conflict with that Monday, May 8th meeting because the Mass Library Association Conference is on the Cape, May 7th, 8th, and 9th. The 8th is the big day. I'm running programs for paralibrarians and for library trustees. And so I don't know if I'll be able to zoom in, and that concerns me because we've now pushed off your review until the May meeting. So I have a conflict then. I don't want to miss that meeting. That's an important meeting.
Already, you're not attending, are you attending that conference or any part of
I'm
it?
not.
Okay.
That's a conflicting.
I mean, having it Sunday too, Saturday and Sunday.
Monday was the big day.
Oh, I see.
Monday was,
Monday's the big day
no,
for the
library conference?
conference.
No, Tuesday.
Is it Tuesday? Yeah, so that's right. It's up around the Cape, so I would have to drive down, get there.
That's what I'm doing. I'm driving down Monday night. Yeah,
So
yeah.
it didn't, it conflicted.
Well, for annual town meeting being on May 9th as well.
Yes.
The friendly reminder.
May
Oh
9th.
gosh, what time does that start, Jackie?
7 o'clock on the dot,
Oh,
as it
I
always
have to
says.
Drive.
It's always Tuesday.
Oh,
So we
God.
won't be able to count you towards the 100.
100,
Meet the mighty 100.
It gets very close,
It's awful.
always close.
Well, count on me to attend by Zoom.
You'll get the information. We'll all be in the agenda.
Okay.
I make a motion to close meeting. You asked for a motion, Dawn?
Yes, I did.
I
Thank you.
second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? No.
That
Something so good.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Jack.